Welcome to Out with Dan, the podcast that spotlights and examines the voices of LGBTQ+ authors, characters, and our allies. Together, we lift our voices and we tell our stories. I'm Dan White. Join me as I chat with this week's author. Hello and welcome to a special Saints and Sinners edition of Out with Dan. Today, I'm excited to be talking with Rafael Frumkin. Hello, Rafael. How are you?
Hi, Dan. I'm doing great. I am so excited to be here with you and to be talking about one of actually my favorite literary festivals in the country.
Fantastic. Have you ever been to New Orleans?
So, yes, I have. I actually had the pleasure of teaching at Louisiana State University for a year. I did my VA visiting assistant professorship there. And I was in New Orleans constantly. I loved it. Yeah, I actually really love BR too, and it's there's some really cool stuff there as well. But I went to Mardi Gras. I went to Mardi Gras before COVID in 2018. Yeah, so
lovely.
Yes, it was. And Dan, when I was at LSU, I had colleagues who were like parts of crews in Mardi Gras and parts of crews, in Mardi Gras and NOLA and parts of crews in Mardi Gras and BR. So I saw Mardi Gras, NOLA, and yeah, it was great.
I love that. So do you have some?
You call it? Sorry.
No, I mean it's a whole life unto itself cruise.
Absolutely, yeah.
So are there any bars or restaurants or cemeteries or favorite haunts you're looking forward to visiting again or for the first time?
Yeah, I am such a huge fan of kind of like, for sure, the touristy stuff there, right? I mean, I wasn't there long enough to like become a local, but like obviously like, Cafe Du Monde, the beignets, like the wonderful stuff there. And that kind of like, I forget the name of that larger square by the cathedral where people will do the
Jackson Square. Jackson Square.
I want to visit Jackson Square too. But also like I have more sort of like broader kind of like sections of the city or neighborhoods that do have so many haunts in them that I would just like love to go there and actually show the folks who are coming with me some of my favorite places. One, right, is like I just love the Marigny. I love the Marigny. I love the music in the Marigny. It's so fun. It's so beautiful. I love forgive me again, I'm forgetting the name once more of the park that thematizes all like the jazz musicians.
Yes, Louis Armstrong Park up on Rampart.
I was thinking, I think it's Louis Armstrong, but I want to check with Dan. Yeah, like Louis Armstrong Park, right? And just like the beautiful sculptures there, and kind of commemorating all like the incredible musical traditions that have come out of your city. The culture is just amazing. So I'm really, really looking forward to just really honestly, like in addition to visiting all the bookstores, taking in the music. I really want to take in some more NOLA music. So yeah.
I love that. And it seems as if culture just pours out of every door in New Orleans, whether it's music or books or voodoo or whatever. There's always something easing out the door.
Mm-hmm. That's the expression for it. Absolutely.
Yeah. You've been to Saints and Sinners before as well, haven't you?
I have. I had the absolute pleasure of going to see Barry McCrae, a friend of mine, whose partner Ludovico Geminat teaches at LSU, and we went together to see Barry read from the first verse, from the second book after the first verse. So it was lovely, yeah, like to see a friend reading, but also then to just get to take in the festival in general. And I think what's so beautiful about Saints and Sinners is that you really have this hub of queer lit happening in the Deep South, and in a city that is like simultaneously so celebratory of like queerness and queer culture, right? But is also like in a region where it is, you do have some kind of like political contentions around queer identity. So
Absolutely. I've been there at times where there've been ministers on the corner sending us all to hell, and I've been there when there've been ministers on the corner cheering us on. So you never really know exactly what you're going to get,
Exactly. Yeah.
which I think sometimes is the beauty of New Orleans. It's a surprise every time. So what are you currently working on, Rafael?
Well, Dan, it's funny. I'm working on a few things. The release of my latest book was kind of like, you know, the sort of like a very fun hump to get over, but a hump nonetheless, like quite a lot of work, and I'm still kind of doing some touring for it. But you know, when I do have the chance, right, I am planning out on my next project, and I had um I originally had the idea to do kind of like a picaresque, right, about a trans man, like sort of a near future dystopia in which a trans man is traveling the country with his dog, who's 30 years old and is named Frog Feet because he has feet like a frog. Um, and he's a clone, you know, and that's why he's able to be a puppy at 30 years. And that story, right, is kind of it's kind of like my queer and trans riff on one of my all-time favorite like novellas, which is George Saunders is in Civil War Land and Bad Decline, where like he has this kind of like Tom Sawyer Huck Finn-esque like picaresque where this character, you know, goes on this huge journey to rescue his sister, you know, who's been stolen from the amusement park where they both work, and it's just a phenomenal a piece of work, and I'm such a huge Saunders fan, and I was like, oh man, how cool would it be to like queer it up, you know, and I kind of do my own riff on that. So yeah, it's a dystopian story, but it's also got, you know, quite a lot of like Americana and it's and folklore. So it's cool. I'm looking forward to that, and there are a couple of other things in the hopper, but yeah.
I think that's wonderful. So do you have a current book out now you'd like to show?
I do, yeah. So what I'm coming to Saints&SInners to promote mainly is Bugsy, which just came out on February 13th. So this is my collection of short stories, and it is a very personal collection to me. It's something I really care quite a lot about. These stories are, you know, deal with obviously, right, like themes of queerness and transness, but you know, also like just like living on the margins in general. You know, there's a story from the point of view of a nonverbal like ASD, like autism spectrum child. There's a story from the point of view of like my own grandmother as she's dying, you know, like there's quite a lot going on in this collection that like feels really important to me. So that's kind of my newest release, but I did have a book come out last year that is going to come out in paperback in less than a month.
Nice.
The book, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. This is the hardcover edition of it. It's called Confidence. It's about a pair of con men, like who kind of fall for each other, or do they? There's a it's like this like a gay Highsmithian caper, where like our protagonist Ezra, you know, falls into kind of a life of crime and conning with the beautiful, you know, statuesque Adonis-like Orson, and is kind of, you know, in a state of limerence with him as they're creating this giant MLM that is very much like Herbalife meets Theranos. So it's kind of like a comedic queer caper, and I, you know, this is quite a lot of fun to write.
Anytime you get to skewer MLM, it works for me.
Really hear it that way, because like I was like, yeah, it's a queer love story, but we're really going for the MLM series. But this is actually the paperback.
Oh, nice. Oh, I like that. I like both covers, but I like this one a lot.
Yeah, it's really I gotta give a huge shout out to Matthew Monahan, who does the jackets for a lot of the like S&S books. I could give you actually his Instagram too, because I think people should follow this guy. He did both this and Bugsy, same guy. Oh my god, camera.
Nice.
Here we go.
See, I like that.
Yeah. like you could kind of see, right? Like this is someone who really knows what he's doing graphically. These are gorgeous covers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I will have that actually the paperback might be for sale by then. It'll certainly be like available for pre-order, but it might actually be for sale. I need to check with S&S, but yeah, that's what I'm promoting.
Oh, I love that. Do you have a website or social media you would like to share?
I do, yeah. So if you want to connect with me on social media, I'm fairly active on Instagram at Jeans Val Jeans. So not Jean Valjean, but Jeans Val Jeans. And I obviously will give you that handle to put in the description. And then my website is just simply my first initial R and last name Frumkin.com, rfrumkin.com. And you can email me through there as well if people would like to.
Lovely. I love that. Well, I look forward to meeting you in person in New Orleans. And it will be a little more than 3 weeks from now, and I'm ready to go today.
Honestly, same, Dan. Whenever I can get to New Orleans, I'm like, oh, yes.
That's right. It really is like going home, and Saints and Sinners is certainly a home for all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect. Hang on for me just a second.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for a very special Saints and Sinners edition of Out with Dan. The Saints and Sinners LGBTQ plus Literary Festival is a part of the Tennessee Williams Literary Festival, and it is held each year in New Orleans. This year's festival will be March 22nd through the 24th. We would love to have you join us. For more information on Saints and Sinners, please visit sasfest.org.